At that very moment, the princess gathered her courage, telling herself it was not the time to fall into despair. Despite the challenges ahead, she had to rise, rebuild her nation, and lead it once again down the right path. She knew there was much to be done, but also that she could not give up. But then, without warning, she found herself dressed in royal garments, as if she had already been crowned queen. Around her, her companions also wore elegant outfits, just as confused as she was by what was happening. The confusion deepened when a crowd began chanting her name, enthusiastically hailing her as their new sovereign. The young woman, completely bewildered, couldn't understand what was going on. That was when a voice proclaimed that their little princess had grown up and that the time had come to hand her the kingdom's legacy. When she turned toward the voice, her eyes filled with disbelief and emotion. Her parents, safe and sound, were standing right in front of her. Unable to hold back, she began to cry and knelt down, deeply moved, while her mother asked why she was crying, reminding her that this was her big day, the day of her coronation. Gently, she assured her that from that moment on, she was officially the queen of the kingdom of Aristotle. With tears streaming down her face, the princess mumbled that it was nothing, that everything had happened so fast she still felt dazed. Questions began to surface in her mind, wondering if everyone had come back to life, and if it was all real or just a dream. It was then that she exclaimed she remembered everything. She looked up to the sky just as the king, concerned about her condition, asked if she was feeling unwell from the stress, offering to call a doctor. But the truth was different. She wasn't looking up because of dizziness or weakness, but because she recognized the silhouettes of those who had helped her get to that moment. Leping greeted her with a smile and joked that he never expected Elizabeth to be so helpful to others. The queen, upon hearing him, replied that she only did it because he had called her a perfectionist, so she decided to give him a special gift. The hero, reflective, thought that in the queen's hands, the world was merely a toy, and that if she wished it, world peace could be achieved in an instant. This made him question the true meaning of his existence as a legendary hero. Elizabeth, hearing his words, wondered if perhaps she had let herself be carried away by emotion. She feared that if she intervened too much, humanity would stop evolving on its own, and he would lose the pleasure of observing that growth. Even so, the queen sighed and said it didn't matter anymore, that she would destroy everything at once. But he interrupted her, asking her to relax, saying it was time to go home. He added that he had already made a decision, affirming that such worries only existed when she wasn't by his side. Now, he no longer felt the burden of being a hero. He confessed that all he wanted was for the world to reach peace as soon as possible, so they could live peacefully and happily together. The queen, blushing and impressed, wondered if he was perhaps teaching her a great lesson through everything they had experienced. About the hero's responsibility, the meaning of existence, and the value of free will. Unable to hold back her feelings, she ran to embrace him, and together they vanished with a snap of fingers. Pitsis, who witnessed their departure, thought that even if his memory had been altered, he would never forget them. He knew it was the legendary hero and the demon queen who had rewritten the reality of the kingdom of Aristotle with magic. Because of this, he decided to abandon science and devote himself to the study of magic, hoping to reach that level as soon as possible. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a bolt of lightning descended from the sky and struck the hero's house, being absorbed by an old lamp. Instantly, the lamp lit up and emitted a signal, announcing that it was summoning the element team to gather. The first to respond were the spirits of fire and water. Then came the knife genie, followed by the earth beaver. Finally, when the electric gauge recovered the last 1% of energy it was missing, something began to materialize in the center of the room. It was the lightning fairy, with a power level comparable to that of a 9-star divine demon. She declared that she had been about to do something crazy, but fortunately managed to hold herself back just in time. Now she had recovered all her energy. She stated that for this first major internal competition, the element team also had to register and participate. The water and fire fairies also appeared, both with 8-star divine demon levels. However, the fire one said she would only participate as an extra and asked to remain where she was. The gold fairy, also with divine level, suggested that if they managed to fuse, they might have a small chance of winning. The lightning fairy nodded, saying that now that her power was fully restored, they could perform the elemental fusion and enter the competition together. Then, the water fairy asked a deep question, whether they, the outsiders, could only show their full power when inhabiting the creations of the creator. The fire fairy complained, annoyed at her teammate, whom she found unbearable. The gold fairy explained that after fusing with the elements, they could generate a temporal space of their own. In that environment, they could unleash their true power. It would be like the culinary creatures created by the creator in the gastronomic world, who were dozens of times stronger within their exclusive domains than in the real world. The lightning fairy added that all of them, the elemental fairies, came there as outsiders, driven by admiration for the creator. And regarding contributions to this house, if they don't take first place, no one else can claim it, since many of the creator's creations grew thanks to the energy they provided. In her opinion, in this competition, the elemental team must win and prove their worth and position through victory. So to achieve that, she knows her power alone is not enough, and they need everyone's cooperation. She asked what they thought, but then she turned to the beaver, pointing out that he was clearly banned from the competition, which made him slightly angry. In reality, it was the earth fairy, whose power surpassed even that of a demon god. At that moment, the little being let out a scream, prompting the lightning fairy to fearfully ask if the creator had returned. Upon hearing that, everyone rushed to hide. Leping, upon entering, calmly announced that they were already back. He settled into the couch and asked Wang Kai to bring 2 cans of soda. The little dog, upon opening the fridge, discovered the lightning fairy, who told him that the element team wished to register for the internal competition. Wang Kai, surprised, asked if she still wanted to compete, considering she had nearly caused a disaster. He wanted to know how she planned to make up for such a mistake. Many thanks to the channel members, Raphaeltron, Sweetie, and for their valuable support to this project. That said, see you in the next video.